5:09 in the morning. A radar station near Kharkiv picks up movement from the northeast. The operators lean forward. Something's wrong. These signatures are too slow for cruise missiles, too heavy for Iranian Shahid drones. The heat pattern doesn't match anything in Russian inventory. Within minutes, the shift commander makes the call. This isn't another strike inbound. This is evidence. Hard evidence pointing directly to Pyongyang, North Korea. For months, Western intelligence services had whispered about a hidden corridor, a secret pipeline running from North Korea to Moscow. The logic was simple. Russia was burning through ammunition at an unsustainable rate. Some estimates put it at 20,000 shells per day. Their domestic production couldn't keep pace. North Korea, meanwhile, sat on massive Cold War stockpiles. Millions of artillery rounds gathering dust. They desperately needed hard currency. Sanctions had strangled their economy for decades. Both countries denied everything publicly. Moscow called it Western propaganda. Pyongyang stayed silent. But Ukrainian soldiers on the front lines kept finding strange ammunition. The shells looked Russian at first glance. Same caliber, same basic design. But forensic teams noticed differences. The casings had machining marks that Russian factories don't produce. Tool patterns were wrong. The propellant inside smelled different. Chemical composition didn't match Russian formulations. Then came the serial numbers. They matched nothing in Russian military databases. Nothing in captured logistics records. These shells came from somewhere else. Ukrainian labs compared fragments to known samples from around the world. The verdict came back definitive. North Korean manufacture. Factory codes from munitions plants in Rajan and Chungjing. The shells were real. But how were they getting here? And just how many were flowing through? Ukraine found the answer buried deep in encrypted communications. A specialized cyber unit, working with Western intelligence partners, cracked a cache of traffic between Russian logistics officers and North Korean trade officials. What they found was an entire shadow network. Payment records in cryptocurrency and obscure banks. Shipping manifests doctored to hide true cargo. Vessel GPS coordinates showing routes through international waters. The operation was sophisticated. Ghost companies created paper trails that led nowhere. Bills of lading listed legitimate goods. Timber, coal, seafood, agricultural equipment. Containers were carefully stacked. Legal products on top, visible during inspections. Underneath, hidden beneath tarps and false floors, lay the real cargo. Artillery shells, rocket motor components, radar systems, guidance equipment. Thousands of tons moved through this network over months. The intercepted data revealed the true scale. Over 200,000 artillery rounds confirmed. Dozens of complete missile components. Advanced radar systems. Electronic warfare equipment. Total estimated value, $1.5 billion. For Pyongyang, this was a massive injection of desperately needed hard currency. Money that could buy fuel, machinery, grain, and luxury goods for the regime elite. For Moscow, it was a battlefield lifeline. Ammunition to keep their artillery firing when domestic production fell short. If this analysis is helping you understand how this war is really being fought, hit subscribe. We break down military developments like this every single day. Then came the breakthrough that blew the operation wide open. A cargo vessel called the Eastern Star, flying a Panamanian flag of convenience, made an unscheduled stop near Vladivostok. Russian port authorities logged it as a technical problem. Routine maintenance. Ukraine already knew better. Weeks earlier, their cyber teams had compromised the vessel's navigation and communication systems. They'd been tracking it across the Pacific. They'd copied its manifests. They knew exactly what was aboard. The official paperwork declared industrial metal piping. Standard cargo. Nothing suspicious. But the actual containers held 122mm artillery shells. Each one stamped with North Korean factory codes. The exact same codes forensic teams had found on shell fragments pulled from Ukrainian soil. Satellite imagery confirmed the pattern extended far beyond one ship. At least 6 North Korean vessels had slipped into Russian ports over recent months. The tracking data revealed sophisticated evasion tactics. Some ships switched off their AIS transponders mid-voyage, disappearing from commercial tracking systems. They'd reappear days later near Russian territorial waters. Others changed their names and identification numbers between ports. Shell companies transferred ownership repeatedly. Each delivery matched a pattern. Within days of a major offload, Russian artillery activity spiked on specific frontline sectors. The correlation was undeniable. North Korean shells were reaching Russian guns within a week of arriving in port. Ukraine made a strategic decision. Instead of hoarding this intelligence, they shared everything with international partners. President Zelensky's office presented the evidence to the UN Security Council. They called it a victory beyond the battlefield. This wasn't bravado. It was calculated strategy. This was logistics warfare, a new front in the conflict. Instead of only striking guns and ammunition depots, Ukraine and its allies would target the entire supply chain, the arteries feeding Russian firepower. The diplomatic explosion was immediate. Emergency Security Council sessions convened. South Korea and Japan demanded comprehensive new sanctions. The United States and European Union backed the calls forcefully. Warnings went out globally. Banks, insurance companies, shipping brokers, maritime registries. The message was clear: facilitate this flow, and you will face consequences. China found itself under uncomfortable scrutiny. Many of the suspect vessels had transited through Chinese territorial waters or used Chinese port facilities. Beijing denied any knowledge or involvement, but their denial did little to quiet international pressure. Russian state media launched a furious counteroffensive. Officials called the evidence fabricated. The cargo was humanitarian goods, they claimed. Medical supplies, food aid. Open-source intelligence analysts destroyed that narrative within hours. They published satellite imagery showing containers being offloaded under armed military guard at naval piers. Not civilian ports, military installations. The timestamps matched perfectly with subsequent bombardment surges on Ukrainian positions. The evidence circulated globally. Social media, news outlets, government briefings. The dots connected in full public view. Ukraine attacked along 3 fronts simultaneously. A coordinated campaign unlike anything seen before in modern warfare. First track, public exposure. Maximum transparency. Every piece of evidence released. Every shipping route mapped. Every payment traced. Shame as a weapon. Second track, financial disruption. Cyber teams working with Western banking partners froze suspect accounts. Flagged intermediaries. Payments stalled in transit. Insurance companies canceled coverage on suspicious vessels. Shipping brokers refused contracts. Third track, kinetic strikes. Using the intercepted manifests and satellite coordination, Ukrainian long-range strike teams targeted storage facilities deep in Russian territory. The Far East, border regions, logistics hubs. Smoke rose from ammunition depots in Komsomolsk-on-Amur. Warehouses burned in Ush-Shurisk. Storage facilities exploded near Belgorod. Stockpiles destroyed before they could move west to the front lines. The supply shock hit Russian forces immediately. The Defense Ministry in Moscow ordered emergency audits. Senior logistics officers were relieved of duty. Internal investigations launched. On the front lines near Avdiivka and Kupiansk, Russian units reported critical shortages. Artillery fire that had been constant for months became sporadic. The relentless bombardment slowed. Ukrainian reconnaissance teams documented the change. A 30% reduction in Russian artillery output over the following month. That's not a small number. That's thousands upon thousands of shells not landing on Ukrainian positions. That margin gave Kyiv something invaluable: breathing room. Time to rotate exhausted troops. Time to repair damaged fortifications. Time to reposition forces. Time to plan counteroffensives. Then Ukrainian intelligence discovered something even more ambitious. The Ghost Route, an overland corridor running through the Tumun River border area. Trains rolled directly from Chungjin in North Korea into Russia's Primorsky Krai region. 50-car convoys moving exclusively at night. Cargo hidden under civilian tarps. Logos from commercial companies painted on sides. Military escorts listed as routine customs protection. Infrared satellite imagery revealed the truth. The cargo dimensions matched rocket motors and artillery shell casings exactly. The SBU launched Operation Veilbreaker. The approach was surgical. Rather than bomb rail lines and risk major escalation with North Korea, they attacked the invisible infrastructure. Malware infiltrated routing and logistics software running Russia's Far Eastern Railway network. Timetables corrupted. Cargo tracking systems fed false location data. Depot communication networks failed at critical moments. Trains carrying munitions got shunted to wrong yards. Sat for days awaiting clearances that never came. A dozen major shipments were delayed or completely lost in the system. No explosions, no casualties, but the flow choked. The UN moved to expand sanctions. The resolution targeted North Korean state firms and Russian rail entities directly linked to the smuggling operation. Several nations that typically abstained from such votes voiced strong concern. Even China abstained rather than vetoing. That diplomatic signal revealed deep unease in Beijing. Financial compliance teams tightened procedures worldwide. Brokers specializing in gray zone shipping dropped risky clients. Insurance premiums skyrocketed for vessels flagged to countries with weak oversight. The network found fewer and fewer willing participants. NATO military analysts assessed the cumulative impact. Nearly 30% sustained reduction in Russian artillery throughput. That single statistic represented a strategic shift. The mathematics of the battlefield had changed. This operation will be studied for decades. It proved something fundamental about modern warfare. Moving vast quantities of material secretly across borders is extraordinarily difficult in the information age. Every route leaves digital breadcrumbs. A satellite image, a financial transaction, a radio intercept, a manifest with one wrong detail. Any single thread, pulled carefully, can unravel an entire network. Ukraine learned to think simultaneously like logisticians, bankers, cyber operators, and soldiers. They fused intelligence disciplines that traditionally operated separately: cyber warfare, human intelligence, signals intercepts, financial tracking, precision strikes, all coordinated into one seamless campaign. President Zelensky said it clearly: every weapon they hide, we will uncover. Every path they build, we will block. Every lie they tell, we will reveal. At 5:09 that morning, a small anomaly on a radar screen became a thread. That thread became a map. That map became a case. And that case became a turning point in how modern wars are fought. The radar operators still watch. More dots will appear on their screens. And when they do, Ukraine will be ready. Subscribe for tomorrow's military breakdown. This is the Strategic Front.